Welcome back. Once again, we appreciate you spending some time here on the Roundtable. As we said before we came to this segment, we wanted to talk a little bit about some of the charity that's been going on, not only for the holidays, but across the last couple of months. We have just been inundated with tragedy after tragedy, disaster story after disaster story, and it all started back in November of last year, or October rather, when we're talking about Superstorm Sandy hitting here in the U.S., affecting so much of the East Coast and the devastation you saw there. We go to Oklahoma and the tornadoes that hit there just before summer, the devastation you see from those storms. And then more recently, we're talking the Typhoon Haiyan hitting the Philippines, and then here at home, the 5 tornadoes that Northwest Ohio had to go through. We spend so much time talking about the devastation, the tragedy, the destruction overseas and not here at home, but then we saw it affect us once again. I want to introduce my guest to you this afternoon. Joining us, Dr. Linda Green, also Steve Korn from ISOH Impact. We appreciate you spending some time. Amanda Ulrich also joining us here on the Roundtable once again from the American Red Cross. Good afternoon to all of you.
Good afternoon.
Thanks for being here. Dr. Green, man, it just never lets up, does it?
No, it doesn't. And I'm so thankful for the community and the team and the individuals. I call them the unsung heroes because they just stop by and say, what can we do to help? What can we do to help?
Obviously, Sandy goes back to 2012, but as you see this pattern and what we have seen over the course of 360, 370 days, I mean, has it been one of those more stressful moments for you and what you guys do?
I think it's a stressful moment, but then you have to have that anchor inside of you, which is the Lord for me, and then you pray that people will show up, and they do. But it is the unsung heroes, because every time you send somebody out on a team, like Dr. Pat left today, and we have a team coming up to leave in February, at the end of January, it takes a whole community to send that team out.
Yeah.
And it takes a whole community to even pass out the toys that you have out there in your lobby this morning. It takes a community, and this community is phenomenal.
This is the second time. In fact, Julia Bates, she was nice enough to mention our Hope for the Holidays toy drive. You have mentioned it too. That goes until, we want to point out, that goes until the 20th of this month, so everybody can still donate.
It's important for people to know that.
It is.
It takes the whole community.
And the other thing, and you hope, Steve, that it doesn't fall on deaf ears, because we continue to put out that call. I mean, whether it be the Bucket Brigade, helping the American Red Cross donations, what have you. But again and again, Northwest Ohio kind of steps up.
Yeah, and for me as a pastor, it seems, my connection is with the church, with the faith-based organizations, and they tend to lead the way. And with ISO and ourselves, I work every once in a while with ISO. She calls me and says, would you please go for spiritual support? And so I just try to accompany the team and lift them up in prayer, and also to meet the people who've gone through the devastation, who are questioning things right now and struggling with things, and so I'm able to at least give them some hope in the Lord. So
you were there in the Philippines just a few weeks ago.
Yeah, well, I got back on Friday, so I was there for 10 days, and my role really is to help the team and to talk through some issues that they're going through. When they see such devastation, it really does affect them, but also to work through and communicate with churches who already have an infrastructure, a relationship with a lot of people who will then reach out to others who have problems.
And I wanted to point out, you told us before we came on, you were in an area that did not get hit as hard as some of the others. However, interesting story you told about how they kept people out of harm's way.
Oh yeah, the mayor in the area, the New Washington area, the mayor basically arrested people who were out in the outskirts there's a peninsula in New Washington that was going to get really hit hard. And he arrested the fishermen who wanted to go out and work, and brought them into a safe area. And as soon as the typhoon went by, he released them to go back to their houses to start cleaning up and to find out what was left. But
he was of genius.
Yes, absolutely.
Essentially, yeah.
Absolutely. And they kept the hospitals very, they didn't make those evacuation centers. Instead, they made the schools evacuation centers. So anybody who was hit hard physically, the hospitals were ready to take them in, and they weren't overwhelmed by a lot of people. So he really did a great job preparing his community to deal with the problems.
Amanda Ulrich from the American Red Cross joining us as well this afternoon. We've talked about these troubles on a grand scale. This past week, you have been inundated with the need for help from residents from an apartment building that had a sprinkler problem that the residents couldn't get back in there. But when you reflect, and we go through that list, and then especially when I think about what both of your organizations were doing for the Philippines. Then Northwest Ohio gets hit with tornadoes. I mean, how do you guys try to keep up?
Well, I think I echo exactly what Steve and Dr. Green are talking about, that it really is, for us, 94% of our workforce are our volunteers. They are there on the ground responding. They're the ones that are getting up in the middle of the night and working ridiculously long shifts to be able to provide support to these families in our community. And I think I also want to echo the fact that we can't do this alone. None of us can. It's really important that we have great partners like them and Salvation Army and some of the other wonderful organizations, local churches, Area Office on Aging. The Toledo Lucas County Health Department was there for the shelter earlier this week to help us with those. It was a 55 and up apartment complex, and so large evacuation, mandatory evacuation. And
A lot of them needing assistance as well. Some of them wheelchair bound, oxygen tanks.
You got it, exactly.
Yeah.
Medication needs. They left mandatory evacuation. You don't have time to decide what you have to take. You have to go right now. So a lot of them left things behind, and so I was there that evening until about 1:30 in the morning with the residents that were staying in the shelter. UAW Local 12 partners with us, and we're able to use their space there. And so, I think for us, it's all about helping those families and having that appreciation and the look in their face when they look at you and they say thank you. And they're saying thank you for something as small as a pillow or a cot or a blanket or a glass of water.
I want to point out as well, you can go to the American Red Cross website, specifically Northwest Ohio. It is redcross.org/OH/Toledo. You see it right there. We're showing you live on the screen, being able to do that. And I'm going to switch over real quick to isohimpact.org, another website you can go to, learn about the Bucket Brigade, the other ways to volunteer. 12 Gifts of Christmas. What's that all about?
Oh, it's just about what you can do about sharing, caring for other people.
Yeah.
It's not just about me giving you a cup. It's about maybe taking care of somebody that needs a blanket. Somebody needs education, somebody needs, like the Kids Against Hunger issues that we do with packing foods and stuff like that.
As we get closer to the holidays and we talk about
really
this,
intense.
well, I was going to talk about the rapidity, the rapid fireness. I'm going to create a word here on Roundtable. Of all of these scenarios, when we're talking about people, it's kind of like, oh my gosh, we've got to help out again. Not so much that mentality, but there's been a huge amount of need that's been put out there, yes?
Yes, there has been, but you know what? I had a conversation with Julie from Anderson's a couple years ago, and there was concern that we would be pushing this community too hard, but we're not. They want to give. And if they can't give, then they will let you know. And many of the people who have been affected turn back around, come back around, and give again because they have been back on their feet. I mean, we get calls from the Red Cross all the time and say, we're going to have people calling you. They got supplies. We're not handing them supplies.
Right.
But then when they need supplies, they call us and we give them the supplies. It depends on what's going on at that particular time. But it is about there. You can't push anybody too hard to give. We have more resources here in Northwest Ohio than people are aware of.
And especially you think about, and Steve, you can touch on this from the standpoint of faith and the understanding that over the last couple of years, economically speaking, this area has been hit harder than some of the others within the region. And when you look at organizations, Red Cross, ISOH Impact, not losing a beat, not skipping a beat when it comes to still answering the call.
Oh yeah. The last 3 texts I've gotten through my phone have been from 3 pastors from the Philippines asking for help. And when they ask for help, they're not asking for hundreds of dollars. They want to try to help some of the people who've been hit economically to get back on their feet. And so some fishermen need nets and bamboo poles. And they need new plants, like seedling plants. The seedling plants cost $1.50. In American money, and then a pig costs $40. The nets that they need to restart their fishing business cost about $150. So with our money that we have here, we can do a world of good there compared to what we do even around in this city.
You forgot about the spaghetti dinners.
In the Philippines, they love spaghetti. We were talking about how do you usually get a large group of people together to help them, and well, we usually have rice, and it's like, okay, rice, I don't get into rice. And I said, when we do it in the States, we have spaghetti because it's cheap and it's, and they said, spaghetti, that is our favorite meal. It's the meal that we have for celebrations, parties, birthdays, anniversaries, we have spaghetti. I said, I can give you so much spaghetti. So we went to the store and spent $300 and got spaghetti for them for the next month. So every Sunday they get together as churches, they invite their friends who don't have food, and they get together and they eat spaghetti. It's the funniest thing I've ever seen.
Wow.
So we did it once, and they did. They just had a hoot eating all the spaghetti.
For our audience, Amanda and Linda, I wanted you guys to kind of bring them into the mentality of what happens when you look at the focus shifting as quickly as it has this year from one thing to the next. Especially, I want to point toward, it seemed like all of our reserves and all of our attention was on the Philippines and getting help to those folks. Then the tornadoes hit. From a mental standpoint in your guys' realm, how does that function? How does that happen?
I think it's like a roller coaster, and you get on and you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what's going to happen. And again, I think what gets us through the day is knowing that we are helping people, and that's really the take-home message from the Red Cross, is that we are providing that hope to those families who need it. And if we're not going to do it, who's going to do it? Right. So we have to be there to provide the help to them.
And you can't put one of those on hold. You can't, it's not like on the phone you say, I'll get to you as soon as I get done with this other one.
It really is an emergency. It really is an emergency. And for us, that's why it's important to have so many volunteers. We have over 1,000 volunteers in Northwest Ohio that are trained to respond. So if the first group kind of gets tired and they stay overnight to help with the shelter, and then they'll go home and the next group will come, and so on and so forth. And they're all trained and they're all specialized in different areas. So when even in other areas like Sandy or in the in Oklahoma or the Philippines, if people have a specific need, we have people that are trained in that area, and they can pull them to kind of provide that support and relief.
That's great networking, and that's called partnership and networking. Right. That's why if you have 2 or 3 teams going out right now into the Philippines, there's something there. But then we have been packing Kids Against Hunger. We've been collecting all these, keeping kids warm and cozy, and just sharing, so that when those things happen, we are ready. We just keep warehousing them and keep sending them out. But our warehouses get lean. With all the stuff that we're doing.
A few months back, I was involved with a gala that you guys put on, ISOH Impact, trying to raise funds for the International Hope Center. Can you bring us up to speed on where things stand right now?
I think we're reassessing that. We didn't meet our matching grant, but that was okay. I was kind of boo-hooing about it, but it's okay, because now we're going to have
land selected. I wanted to point out to people, land already selected out at Levis Commons.
We
can show people at home and have some video.
Done. It's just not the right time. The issue is, do you go ahead and borrow money? And that would have to be a no.
Yeah.
Not going to pay interest on people's money. So I think we have a plan. I think it's going to go forward, and I think that we're probably going to be meeting with some people. Okay. We have a company now.
Well, keep us apprised of everything that's going on there. Dr. Green, Steve, Amanda, thank you so much for spending some time with us. Happy holidays. We don't see each other before the Christmas break. Stay right there, and New Year. Stay right there. We'll finish things up for this Sunday right after this.